So if you were on the internet in the early 2000s, then there is a very good chance that you know of a website where you collect little pet animals and play games with them. And since you clicked on this video knowing the title and the thumbnail, then you obviously know that I'm talking about Neopets. Neopets was everywhere. They were magazines, toys, a card game, a PS2 video game. McDonald's even did Happy Meal toys twice for these things. Neopets was a huge part of my childhood. I can even remember what some of mine and my family's Neopets were. I even wrote a little fan fiction that was published in the Neopets newspaper about my own pets, and it actually still exists if you know how to Google it. And then one day I just stopped playing. I never really gave Neopets another thought until recently, actually, because the Neopets team announced that they gave the website a complete makeover. So the first thing we need to do is create a brand new Neopet. Now I planned to record this video on both my iPad and a normal desktop browser just to see if the website could run on both, and I very quickly realized that it couldn't. You see, while I was creating my pet, I couldn't give it a name, like at all. Normally when a name is already taken, you get an error saying that the name just simply exists. But on my iPad, I kept getting an unknown error. I'm not really sure what happened, actually, to be honest with you. So I said screw that, I switched to a computer and I made my Aisha there. The other thing I noticed while making my Neopet was that there were a lot of species that I remember that apparently just don't exist anymore. I even pulled up a different tab on my browser to cross-reference the list, and I discovered that while there are a bunch of new Neopets that I've never heard of, there are so many pets missing. A moment of silence, please, for those that we have lost. Anyways, once I made my pet, I wanted to go through the list provided of recommended first steps, including a tutorial, some gifts, and some basic steps to get you familiar with the website. And I'm not sure if it was my computer or what, but the tutorial never loaded. I also had this issue while trying to make a Neo home. No matter what I selected, I just couldn't build one. I know that housing prices suck right now, but even in a make-believe game for children, I can't seem to get a house. Not to mention that certain shops actually have an inflation rate now when it didn't in the early 2000s. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. On day one, I decided to mostly explore the map and everything that they offered, and for the most part, the cities and regions were exactly as I remembered them being when I was a kid. There were a few exceptions, like in Tyrania now, there's a new area separate from the plateau. Or how Fairy City is no longer in the clouds? Is there lore that I don't know about? What happened here exactly? I also learned that you can seemingly only do one fairy quest per day because while I was in Fairyland, I did a quest for one of my absolute favorite queens, Jadora. But a few minutes later, I tried to do one for my other favorite queen, Illusion, and she was not happy that I helped out a dark fairy. When I wasn't exploring or getting involved in feuds that make West Side Story look tame, I was playing some games. In the new announcement, the Neopets team claimed that they had fixed about 50 or so games that used to require Flash Player. So obviously I had to check out the games room. There were so many games that I didn't really know or recognize anymore, but there were so many games also that I played as a child, like Cliffhanger, Cheat, Tug of War, and Hannah and the Pirate Caves. Wait, what? I still can't play Hannah? Is life even worth living? So I logged back in the next day because I knew that more content opened up once your account is at least 24 hours old. I found a list on a website called Jellynet of daily things that you could do each day in Neopets, also known as dailies. You know, for example, how in Animal Crossing they have you talk to your villagers, hit rocks, get the money tree, that fun stuff. But in Neopets, your dailies include things such as solving puzzles, getting free food from different regions, and gambling. This is still a kid's game, right? One of the dailies listed on Jellynet is to complete a quest from Groot with a brain, also known as the Brain Tree. I figured this wasn't any different from doing fairy quests, so I accepted it. Except that the Brain Tree wanted to know information about when a random NPC died, so I had to look up how to even find this information. It turns out you have to do another quest for the Wish version of Grimmer. So I had no idea where I could find this, and so I decided to turn to the shop wizard, and the cheapest option I could find was still over 3,000 Neopoints. So I took it out of my bank account, and I went to go buy it, and all of a sudden, the only one available was triple the price. So it was time to grind the minigames in the hopes of making the money fast. I played game after game after game, playing ones that I had vague memories of and ones that I thought may have been new additions. And to clarify, if it was made after like 2004, the game was new in my books. I spun all of the wheels, including the Wheel of Monotony, which, if you know nothing about the Wheel of Monotony, that can take anywhere from 2 to 9 hours to spin and land on something. So I went back to the mini games, and then I have no idea what happened. I was playing some game. It was one that I kind of remember playing as a kid, and my computer just froze completely. I couldn't even use the task manager to shut down my browser for almost 10 minutes. By this time, my hour time limit to get the information for the brain tree was just about up. And so I realized that I would never know when a certain Nemo died and what cool item I could possibly get for the Battle Dome. But despite the momentary feeling of despair and utter failure, I still had this sense of happiness and childlike wonder because of like the memories that it was bringing back to me from a much more simpler time. Overall, is the website good now? Yes. There's also a lot of things I don't really remember how to do anymore, like how to get code stones in order to train my pets for the Battle Dome. I am still incredibly bitter about how expensive paintbrushes anymore because I simply want my Egyptian looking Aisha. But if you spent any time on Neopets back in the day, you could easily log back in and be transported back to an easier time. All we had to do was worry about homework, feeding our Tamagotchis, why everything was made out of clear plastic. Thank you so very much for checking out today's video, guys. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and clicking that like button. It would mean so much to me. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now!